Whether not that the pioneer, or whether the family or Takato, so what the Unity company that the pioneer, what Lomaki so long.
As a church family, we should not expect to grow against our enemy, the devil, unless we are planning and strategizing along with our praying.
According to what I said, Laptop, but we do the solar command, so good.
When we talk about churches having a 3 to 5 year evangelistic strategy, many church members think, wow, we don't even have a 1 year strategy.
So
if we don't have a 1 year strategy, then there's no way we can have a 3 to 5 year. And if we don't have a 3 to 5 year strategy, should we expect to grow? Let me just ask this question. How many of you would like to see this congregation have double the amount of people on an average Sabbath? Okay, if you didn't raise your hand, maybe you're sleeping, right? Okay, so set growth goals.
According to
growing God's church is not based upon an event, but it's based upon a lifestyle. Okay. Do you expect that God is going to bless your church? When God is not impressed with our faith, He will not tend to bless us. But when we have faith, God says, I'm going to bless them because they believe in my power. And when I bless them, then I will be glorified. People will be drawn to me. How many of you expect God is going to double the size of this congregation, bring in twice as many people as you're used to bringing in by the next year, let's say? How many of you expect that God is going to do that? Be honest. Be honest where your faith is. Okay, all right. So, if you had 100 more people this Sabbath, where would you put them? Are you prepared to have 100 new people come into this congregation, this church family? Do you have enough leaders trained to sustain that growth? Do you have enough small home groups to provide relationship building with those folks? If you expect God to bless this church, then you will be doing the things necessary through planning and praying. Once this congregation has 80% of these seats filled, you must already have a plan in place on what you're going to do.
let out put that to the
So when this church becomes 80% filled for your church family, what is your plan? I'm asking you right now, what is your plan? What is the next step? What will you do?
According to what I think my dad, paying it to that, what I throw away, maybe what I call Sinagame, or Sinagame in law. I
do not want to hear from Pastor Jimmy. I want to hear from you. What is your plan? What is the congregation's plan to grow or to sustain growth once you reach 80% here?
Build a new, bigger church.
Okay, so let me ask this question. If God does not give the funds, let's say, for the church, what will you do then? Let's say that He wants you to wait another 1 or 2 years before that, but you still have capacity. What will be the plan? It's something to think about. What is your plan? Almost everyone's hand went up that said that they believe that God will bless this church. Next year we'll have twice as many people here today. But only one person raised his hand to give an answer of what the church will do.
Another one there. We have to divide our group, and each group has to work their own.
Okay, great. All right, once you reach 80%, there are 3 options. In order to sustain the growth. And you had the first one. A bigger facility. But you also have 2 other options. You can have multiple services. Or you can plant a church. How many of you drove an hour to get to church today? Okay. All right, hands down. How many of you drove or rode? It took 45 minutes to get to church today. 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, so you have probably about 15 people here that took at least 45 minutes to get to church today. Now, Jesus says in the Great Commission in Matthew 28, go into all the world and make church buildings. What did he say? Make disciples. So, whichever option is going to help you make more disciples, the best. That is the option that should be chosen. What will happen to this wonderful church facility when Jesus comes? Yes, it will be destroyed. So if you can grow without having to pay $1 million for a building, that's good. And planting churches is a good way to do that.
ဒါသူတော့တောင်းဖို့နေမိကလဲပြီးတော့လက်ပကပမှာ
Okay, the third idea is to, as they say in America, they say, put your money where your mouth is.
ဒီဝရနော်ကလသဘောဘောနေနေဟိုဒါလေစစီတစတက်တယ်လေဝရပါသူတာလူတို့ဖွေတော့
If your priority is evangelism, and growing God's church, then you will have a large majority, a large percentage of your finances being dedicated.
ဒီဝရသမီးဟိုဒါတာတာကလေသူတောက်ဖို့အတန်လို့တော့ထော်ရနေတော့သူကလို့သူစေးစစ်ကောနေနေနော်သူကဟိလောလဲတာလေထောက်လေထော်တာဖို့တာလေထောက်လေထော်တာတို့ထော်တော့စစ်ပါနေတော့
Okay, do we have the church treasurer here today?
Yeah, Papa, say no. Tao Papa, say what's it called? Let me talk like
Okay, sister, of all the money that is spent from this church, what percentage is used for church growth or evangelism?
Okay, the women, no. Close say let us do. Let our poor, let Helen in fine. Let our poor tell you one in two of them like here. That's two of them like here. I don't know.
If your church treasurer does not know, then probably no one here. Maybe your pastor knows. I don't know.
If I Papa say my thing, where are you? Papa, the thing, no, I think the thing I got.
Okay, so you may think that the best investment is to put money aside for property.
If I pay think about the color, say, the mama way, talk about Papa. ဒါစုဟိုဒါလက်တော့ဟိုဒါလက်ဟောက်ဖို့ဒါဆလောက်ဟောက်ဖို့ပေါ့လက်ဟောက်တောက်ပြီးဟောက်ဖို့ပေါ့နော်
Now, so you have to ask God this question.
ဖေးနေဒီကဘာကခွေးလက်ဆိုင်ပါလက်တတိတိပါဖေး
Which will bring in the most souls in the kingdom?
ပြောရမယ်ဒါဒီတော့ဟိုဒါဒီတော့ပခဲဆော်ဝဲတာဒါသူမပဲစုဆိုင်ယူအောင်နေတော့မေဘကဘာလက်ကလေးလက်တယ်
Investing in evangelism.
မိသားဟေးဟိုဒါတာလုံးထူလို့ချီလာတာကူဆောက်တော့ကလေးကွာ
Or investing in a church building.
မင်းရောထိုင်းလို့ကလို့စီလာတာတူတော့ဘောတော့ကွာ
Both are good.
ကလေးခိဘောလည်းမိသားလည်းပဲနော်
But God will lead you in how to answer that.
ဘာသာနာကြီး let us survey one in no you are what in your titula.
If the answer is church building,
that is a mimila that I could saw one in all.
Then he will provide the funds.
The penny let that one in all you are take it out to see well.
If the answer is evangelism,
that is a mimila that I could saw that in money no.
Then he wants to see us dedicate our money for that purpose. Okay, so let me ask you this question. What percentage of people who become members of the Seventh-day Adventist Christian Church become members primarily because of the pastor? What percentage?
တောက်ဖို့ပါဘလက်လက်တောက်ဖို့ကိုဒီခမျိုးတွေနေတာလည်းတောက်ဖို့ကိုမှပြန်လာကြရတောက်ဖို့တရာ
60?
Maybe.
You said 16 or 60? 60.
ခုရှိလာကြရ
50, I said 50.
50?
အဝရဲ့ချီဆောလာကြဘောရဲ့ချီကခုချီကအဝဟဲဟီဘောလာတာ I said that 50 and 60 become close far from each other.
Okay. Who else?
Yeah, come on, this year. Let the Buddha go to Pakero, who open again.
Now, you have a great pastor, an outstanding pastor here.
Oh, when the Buddha do again, yeah, 80%.
80, okay. All right. The answer is 6%. 6% of people say the primary reason why they became a Seventh-day Adventist Christian was because of the pastor. Now, of all the churches that have asked that question, you gave the highest percentages.
ก็ว่าแล้วถ้าที่ว่าเต้าผู้แค่เหลือกันหมอว่าแล้วที่เราได้ศึกษาท้อกันไม่ได้ว่ากันเต้าผู้หรอว่าเนี่ยแต่ละกี่
Which means that you really, really love your pastor.
จะได้ไม่เรียกเดี๋ยวคอมเมนต์ที่ว่าเต้าผู้เราดูมา
Okay, but in reality,
น้องก็นี่
where do all the people come from? What do they say the primary reason that they became a member?
ว่าที่ฝ่ายนู้นแห่ไปแล้วเราตั้งกี่คนที่ร่วมเดินนี่เว้ยที่ฝ่ายแล้วตั้งกี่ปีแล้วให้แกเราเต้าผู้
75 to 90% of people become Christians because they know you as church members. They're related to you as family or as friends. They know you.
เดี๋ยวเรามิวเซียมลากยาที่เราคุยซิมลากยาเนี่ยว่าแกเราเต้าผู้เขาเราว่าที่บ้านที่ยาดูเราที่ยาที่มีความรู้นี่พอที่ยาที่แกว่าเต้าผู้เรื่องเราทุกคนเนี่ยแกเราเต้าผู้
So if you together collectively are counting 80% of your, or let's just say 50, right? Let's say 50% of soul winning or evangelism is going to have to come from the pastor. That means your church will not grow as fast as if you put 75 and 90% of your effort in reaching out to your family and friends that you know as church members.
According to Kevin Kitewada, Payas Simlagi, Bakira Potipa, maybe I call it out with Ranita. To double when to do a rocket. Or to wait in a little body of Cosi, non Missia to love with Simlaga, was the money. But make it out or not, Tau do a rocket.
All right, here's another idea.
Yeah, wait, I will have and move on.
And by the way, this is the presentation I share with all churches that I visit. So many of these things you're already doing, but I'm not sure just yet. Here's an idea here at the bottom. Having once a month or once a quarter a very special Sabbath celebration. So you have the best music, the most preparation, the nicest presentations, and awesome preaching, all of it. I forgot to mention the best food. So if you do that, and you invite all of the Korean-speaking community, they will be likely to come. And then when they come, they will really want to come back. And then they'll ask you questions about what you believe and why. And then you begin to study the Bible with them. Okay, this next area is talking about focusing on the quality of what the church family does. Not the quantity, but focusing on the quality. If there's only one way this church will double in size within 1 year. It will not be because you're focusing on the numbers or the amount of people coming. It will be because you're focusing on the quality of what you do as a church family. Each church has these 8 ministry areas. It has leadership, ministry, spirituality, structures, worship service, small groups, evangelism, and relationships. But is the leadership empowering? Are those that have leadership capability trained and allowed to work in a ministry and promoted by the pastor and the elders of the church? Is the ministry that happens in the church based upon the gifts that God has given each individual?
I
noticed that the people leading the songs earlier could actually sing. And that is a good example. You want to have the best singing, or the best people, or the people with the most musically gifted leading the songs. Now let us say that you had only people who were not musically gifted by God. What would happen to the attendance of this church family over time? Would it stay the same? If every Sabbath you had people who could not play the guitar, they were singing off tune, they were not even singing at the same time, and this was done every single time you got together, what would happen to the church attendance? How many of you think that the church will still grow? Okay, now we want to see who really has faith here. Okay, how many of you think that the church will stay the same? Okay, now how many of you think that the church will suffer and there will be less attendance? Okay, how many of you are actually listening right now? Okay, we're voting now. Okay, great. Okay, so we need to have people doing ministry in ways that God has gifted them individually. Your treasurer, no doubt, is gifted in organizational skills. If she was not, she would not be able to function as a treasurer. But there are many people doing things in ministry that they're just doing it because they feel like they have to do that. And they don't really like it. But God has gifted each person with gifts to be used for His ministry. Let us say that you're a person that has, you understand the most about iPhones, iPads, iPods, things like that. Okay, who really understands a lot about those? Okay, you want to have people that you want to have people who understand technology well to be operating the technological equipment. Yes, so the audio, the visual, and anything else that is needed, technologically speaking.
community ပေါ်ကြည့်ကတာကလူတာဒိုတာဘောတာတိပန်တိပန်နာဘောနာမောဒီမေတနာဘောဝါဒီသူတေပါ
So God needs you, and He wants you involved in ways that He has gifted you with interest and capabilities.
ကစားရပါတာလေတာဟိလေဝေတိဟိသူတကလာလာနေကသူ့ရောတော့ကနလောမှာကိုတာတတာခုစောတာပြရမှာ
Is your spirituality passionate?
ယဝသူနောတာတာဒူရထရမို့တော့တိုက်တာခုတာသူညတာကညော
Do you enjoy reading your Bible?
community နဲ့သူ့တော်နဲ့ဖန်လေစောရှိ
Do you pray every day?
ခေပါချိကပါတာကောင်းနေတယ်
Not just before you eat, by the way.
ဒီမိနစ်လေပဲခေပါအော်တော့ဆက်တော့ပါလားနော်
Okay. And do you like to share your faith with your friends?
သူ့တော်လည်းခေနော်တဆုဒနာလည်းကြည့်တော့
That is passionate spirituality.
community တာသူညောတာကညောလဲနောတာတာဒူရထရ
Okay, now we talk about this one here.
ဖေးပကတဲ့ကိုပဲဒီဘာကတာအုပ်စုလောတာ
Does everyone or most of you understand how the church functions?
မေဘွေရတဲ့ကဘာနဲ့ကနေနေတာအုပ်ဖို့တာသူလောတာတော့တာဖိတာမှာဒီလက်တဲ့မေပနာပဲစစ်ကွာ
Do you know what your vision, do you know what your mission is as a church family?
ဒီတာအုပ်ဖို့တကားဆိုနေမေသူတာချီတော့တာတော့ပါလက်တော့ဖို့ကနေမေသူနာပဲစစ်ကွာ
And is your church family structured in such a way to promote the vision and that mission?
ဒီတာအုပ်ဖို့တာချောလောကိုရတော့တာကွာဆိုတာဆုညာသူနာပဲစစ်ကွာ
Worship service.
ကဲတာဘူတာမာတာရတာကလေ
Is your worship service inspiring?
သူတာဘူတော့ဘာလို့ယွာနေနေဩတော့တာသူခုတာခုတော့တာသူ့တော်လည်းပါကကိုစစ်ကွာ
Do you feel drawn to God during the worship services?
ခဲတာဘူတာဘာဆက်တော့နေမေသူတာနေတော့ချက်လည်းဆိုင်ရစစ်ကွာ
Do you experience His presence?
တော့သူကလည်းယွာနေလို့သူကလစစ်ကွာ
If you do, then the answer is yes, you have an inspiring worship service.
မေဝနေတော့ဖဲနေနေတော့တဆဆက်နေကမေဝတာလည်းယွာတော့ဆိုရှိယွာတာထုတ်ကတာဒီကိုလည်းသူကလာဖဲသူတာဘူတာဘာဆက်တော့နေ
Okay, the next one is holistic small groups.
အဝေးနေတယ်ဘကောဝဒါလည်းတာဥဖို့ဝဒါတာဥဖို့ချီလို့တာလူစီကို
Relational.
တာပတ်ထဲလို့တာ
So if you have small groups, let's say like Sabbath school,
သူကတော့လူစီကိုတော့တေဝဒါဥပဒေတမလို့
when you have separate classes, do y'all separate?
yeah သူကတော့ဒါစု
Now, do you go right into a prayer and then talk about what was in the lesson?
တော့မိသူရဲ့ blog တော့ဖဲနေသူကတော့ဘာကတာမလို့ဝိလို့ညာ
Or do you give an opportunity to relate to one another?
မင်းမီကောင်းနေတော့သူဟင်းနေတာဆက်တော့တကားတော့ကနေသူတော့ဒါကတော့မွေကွဲမှုလို့စစ်ကွာ
By asking questions like this.
ကောပလာတော့တတိကွာဒီလိုပဲ
How have you seen God at work in your life this week?
မင်းသူကြည့်ရွာအကမှာလက်သူတော့ဘူးလက်တူရီတော့တယ်လက်ကလေး
What challenges have you had this week?
အနည်းငယ်နေတယ်မြေသူကလည်းကောပရိုတာဟုတ်တယ်
Or what testimonies or witnessing experiences have you had?
မေတ္တာဥပဒါလည်းရွာကောလက်သူတော့မလက်တူရီကနေမြေဒီမှာကြလား
Those are holistic small groups.
အဝေးနေမြေဝရနော်ဘကောလည်း holistic နဲ့ကွန်ပျူတာဒါဆိုတာရှိတဲ့ခါလည်းနော်သူစီပေါ်တာပေါ်လည်းတော့ဒါဆိုတာရှိတဲ့ခါ
Is your evangelism need oriented?
ကဲဒါစီတဲ့တော့ဒါခုဆိုတာပြတာမှနေဟိုတော့ဒါလူပါ
Are you scratching where people itch?
တဝရဖက်ပါကလိုတာနေမြတူပါလေစကွာ
Because if you're not,
မေတ္တာမာဒီတော့
you're not reaching people where their needs are.
အခုနေဖက်ပါကတလူပါဆက်ကြောင်းနေ community လေဟိုတည်
Before people believe,
တခလတာပလာကွေကွာကညောပါနေ
they want to belong.
အဝေးသေးအိုဆဝရလကပါထွဲတော့တတ်တူလား
And before they belong,
တခလဝသေးပါထွဲတော့တတ်တူပါနေ
you need to meet their need.
အဝေးတိကပါမီတမဆလဝသေးပါ
Many people today need friendship
ကွာအားရကလည်းမှုစားတဲ့နေရာကနေလောရချစ်ကော
more than anything else.
လောရချစ်ကောအားနေတာကလည်းပါလား
Need-oriented evangelism.
တဝဲနေပြီးတာလောပါတာဖိတာမှာခါလဲတတာခုစောတရဝတတာခုစော
Relationships.
တာရီလိုမလို့
Are they loving relationships?
အဝဲသေးဦးတော့တိုက်တာခွေလက်တာရီလို့မလို့ဘူးစစ်ကွာ
Do you like to see each other when you come to church?
ဖဲတကတော့ကနေသူဆက်ချီလို့တူတာဦးစစ်ကွာ
Or do you tend to avoid the people that you see in church?
မင်းမကဖဲသေးလက်တာဘာလို့နေတကတော့သူကဟာရှေတော့တာ
Do you feel good and happy when you come to church?
ဖဲသေးလက်တော့ဆက်ကနေသူကခေါ်လာဦးတော့တာခုတာညစစ်ကွာ
Then you're having loving relationships.
အဝဲနေနေတာဦးတော့တိုက်တာခွေလက်တာရီလို့မလို့
Now, the church family that has high health in each one of these 8 areas is doing very well and is growing, will grow.
တောက်ဖို့တူလာလို့ဦးတော့တာဖိတာမှာတိုက်တာကိုခေါ်ကြည့်တောက်ဖို့ဒီနေတူနေဦးတော့တာလို့ထော်တော့ပေါက်တယ်
But in order to grow, you need to focus on the lowest or the weakest area of these 8.
ဘာသာနာကြီးလက်တာတော့ထော်တော့ကနေနေနော်ဒီကဘာကွာချောတာလို့ပါတို့တဲ့ဖလက်ခွဲလာ
Okay, here's a barrel.
ကဲဝိုင်းနေကွာနော်ဝိုင်းနေကြည့်တယ်ဗလား
And we have some water.
ခီဝလာဘူး
Now, the water will stop and to come out of what level?
ကဲဝဲတာခီနေနေနော်ခဲတော့နေကလောပလာကဒါကြီးပဲဝဲတာအဖူးတက်တော့တယ်
It will come out the level of the lowest stave.
ကဲဝဲတာခီနေကတော့ဒီပဲအဖူးတက်တော့တယ်
So that means the lowest stave. The lowest stave is your what we call the minimum factor.
ကဲဝဲတာတာတော့အဖူးတက်တော့တယ်ကောဝဲတာလားတာဥသာ
That's good enough. Don't worry about it. Okay, so whichever of these 8 areas is your church's lowest is the area that needs to be focused on the most.
အခုဒီလက်တာဖူးနေကွာကတော့တာလည်းဖူးတက်ဥတာအရှာတက်လက်တော့ဘယ်နဲ့ဖလက်ခါလဲ
Let us say here that you pour 10 million gallons of water into this barrel.
အဒိုဒီကထန်လို့ဝဲတာခီတကကွဲတကလောလောဝဲတာခီတဲ့ပဲဘူး
But you did not increase the level of this lowest stave.
သူမင်းတမှာဖွဲကဒါကြီးနော်ဝဲတာဖူးတက်တာလို့ဖူးတက်ခိုင်းပါနေတော့
At what level would the water be?
ကဲခီတို့တော့လဲ The lowest part
The lowest part.
ဖဲဖူးတက်ခိုင်းနော်
The water represents the amount of people you have coming to worship services.
ချီဝဲနေဘယ်လိုလဲကွာကညောလာဟဲတော့လည်းတောက်ဖို့
And each one of these staves here
တော့ဒီဝဲတာတော့တော့ပါတယ်တော့လည်းဖဲတာဖလဲဘူး
represents each one of these 8 areas.
လို့လောဝဲတာကတော့လည်းတောက်ဖို့ပုံပဲနော်
I would like a volunteer to help us get ready
ကဲခိုင်းနေတော့ဝိသစုပါဟဲတော့ကမှာနော်
to pass out 1 post-it note per person.
ဝဲတာဟဲတော့လေးဒီနော်
We need some more help. All right.
ဟဲတော့ကလေးနော်
Okay, make sure everybody that can write
အဲဒီဝဲတာဘောရမဖတ်ကောရတဲ့ခွဲတော့မနော်
that